Hello, fellow Sublime Text fanatics. ODAT Nerd here. Welcome to this third and final video in this particular series of videos on developer previews for packages I'm currently working on. Now, of course, in video one, we talked about Snappy, a package for showing you the API documentation and other official Sublime Text documentation from directly within Sublime. In the second video, we talked about HyperHelp itself, a package that powers Snappy and provides a help-based system and showcase some of the features that it has. And here in this third video, we're going to talk about HyperHelpAuthor, which is a package that has been in development in addition to the other two, which aims to make it a little easier to construct the help files that you want. And in fact, I wrote this so that I could create the help files for Snappy while I was in creating that particular package. Now, if you follow my live streams, you'll know that we've been working for the last little while on actually enhancing the functionality of HyperHelp Author in those live streams. And if you're unfamiliar, check out the link in the description below. I have another alternate channel where I do a weekly live stream of Sublime Text live package development. And you can pop in there, watch, say hi, get questions asked if you want. We'll see what we can do there to get you straightened out. And I do, of course, also create videos on this channel. So if you have a question about Sublime that you would like me to answer, or a plugin related question or something of that nature, leave a comment in the comment section below or hit me on Twitter at ODATNerd, and we'll see if we can hook you up with an answer to your question. But for now, let's go ahead and dive on into the video on HyperHelp Author and see what it can provide in the way of help authoring tools. So we're going to do a little bit of a live seat of the pants, completely unpracticed whirlwind demo of the HyperHelp Author package itself. And I'm just going to say right now, as I've been saying in the other videos, or at least I intended to, these packages are under active development as of right now. As I'm recording these videos, they're not officially released yet. Things are still sort of subject to change. And in particular, since I'm recording this video on the same day that I'm recording the other two videos, it's been a couple of weeks now by the time you're watching this at a minimum. What you see here may not be the same as what you see live now. It may have been enhanced since then, but this will give you the gist of what the tools are trying to provide. Now, of course, you need to install this package, and as I just said, it's not officially released yet. So if you haven't played with Snappy yet from one of the other previous videos, or HyperHelp in general, there's a step that you have to perform here first in order to tell package control where to find these packages. If you've already been playing with Snappy, you've already done this, you don't have to worry about it. And if you're watching this suitably far enough in the future so that HyperHelp Author is actually just released, you don't have to do this either. But basically, you go into the command palette and say package control, add repository, and in the box at the bottom, type in this URL, which you don't really have to type this out. There's a link in the description below the video. You can go ahead and just copy it and paste that in here. I'm not going to because I already have done that. And once you've set that up, you can then say package control install package, and when the list of packages is pulled down and downloaded here, you can go ahead and say HyperHelp Author and grab that package right on out of there. And if you haven't already installed Snappy, then when you install HyperHelp Author, it's going to install HyperHelp itself, which will pop up a dialog box here to tell you that it's done because I have Snappy already installed. That's not happening here. Now, as with most packages, the commands are available in the command palette itself. You can also find them up here where we can do things like add help to a package, add a help file to a package, and other editing operations. We're more or less going to be going through these in no particular order. As I mentioned, I believe in previous videos in HyperHelp, help is grouped per package. And so in order to add help, to something, you need to add help to a package. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that command, and it's showing me a list of every package that exists that doesn't already have a help index. You don't need to add help to a package that doesn't already exist. Now I have just a simple sample package here, so I'm just going to search for a sample package. And you can see down at the bottom, it wants to know the document root, which is the place where it's going to want to put all of the help files when it generates them. By default, it's going to suggest a directory named help in the root of the package. It doesn't have to be there. It can be anywhere you want as long as it's underneath the actual package itself. I like to do it this way because it keeps all the help nicely segregated from, say, for example, my plugins as parts of the package. And that is all that's needed. It has created the initial files for that package, which includes the index file and the first help file index.txt. I'm going to go ahead and tell it to open created files, and we can see what it's done here. It has opened a help view for us showing the contents of a index.txt help file, which is the index file for sample package with today's date. As you can see, that is at some point in the past, depending on when you're watching this. The second file that it opened here is the actual source for that particular help file, which, as we can see, more or less conveys identically at this point. It just has this header line here with the title and the date, which gets converted to the nicer format seen here. And incidentally, the authoring tools will update the date in the header every time you save the file so that the help file is always kept up to date as far as that is concerned. This date format is also configurable in your user settings for HyperHelp if you care. The other file it created is this index file. Now, without getting into too much detail, because you can go to help, browse HyperHelp, browse available help, look in the HyperHelp documentation on authoring. It's going to give you tons more information that I'm going to outline here in this sample. But roughly speaking, the HyperHelp.json file, which needs to be named that, by the way, because HyperHelp looks for files with that exact name and assumes that they are help indexes. It knows what help the package is for, what the description of the package is for use in browse available help and other places, where the document root is so that the help system knows where to look for the help files. The help files key provides all of the help files that exist in this file, and for each file, it is a list of items which include help topics and associated captions. The first item always has to be the title of the page. And down at the bottom is the help contents, which is what sets up the table of contents, which, as we can see right now, just says index.txt. The help contents can be either just a topic that appears somewhere in a file, in one of the help files, or it can be an actual topic dictionary with a topic and a caption if you want to change how the caption appears. And if I came over to the help and use the key here, we can see that it's saying index file and index.txt there, because we said the caption of this was index file. Now, if we go back up to the tools, there's other things we can do. We can add a help file to a package. And I'm going to pick that one now. Again, at the bottom, it's asking us to add a new help file to sample package. Now, let's say I called it sample.txt, for example. It automatically creates a sample.txt file, and I can say sample file. It already has a date, and I can go ahead and throw a lorem in here, and when I save the file, it's automatically associated with the appropriate location. As a matter of fact, I could just very quickly bring my mouse in and pop that open so that you can see those files being there. Now there's two help files, but if we go back to the index, the sample.txt file doesn't appear in this list. And as a matter of fact, this gives us the perfect opportunity to show another command we can use here, which is find problems in help, which will find, it's basically a linter that runs over either the current help index, if that's the file you have loaded, or a current help file so that you can check problems either way. If I do it here in the index, we can see that the help file sample.txt is in that directory, but it's not in the index, which is a warning for us because it means there's no way for the help system to display the help for sample.txt because the index doesn't know anything about it. So we can go ahead and add that in by creating a help file, and that's of course just a snippet, and this file was named sample.txt. I don't have to type that part, and I'm going to leave the caption alone, and I don't even actually need any topics in this per se. Every help file gets an implicit topic added for it where its topic is the file name and the caption is the file title, as which is the text that's selected right now. You only have to do this if you want to change the caption that's associated with the thing so that otherwise it would be this one by default. Now, this help index is updated here, but it hasn't been updated in HyperHelp. HyperHelp doesn't monitor the packages directory because all else being equal, help shouldn't be changing unless you're authoring it. So if we go back up to those tools, we can reload the help index to get it to know that that is there now. And again, if we again went in there and chose find problems in help, now the problem is not that the sample.txt file doesn't exist in the index, but that the title in the file doesn't match the index. Here in the index, it says it's help file caption, but that's not what it says in the file. And I can actually jump there. And here it says sample file. So I could come back here and I could change up here. I could change this to sample file and save. And again, we have to reload the index. I'm going to use the hotkey F5 to do that. And if we run the lint command, as we can see, it lints it this way. Now the help system has no problems. Now, again, as I mentioned, this is linting the help index, so it scans all of the items in the index and the index itself. You can also run the same command from a file, in which case it just lints that particular file instead of all of them. We're not going to worry about that here. Now, the two main aspects of navigating around inside of help consists of anchors and links. And again, this is all outlined in the HyperHelp documentation, so we're not going to worry about that here. But I could add an anchor called sample here in this file, for example, and over in index, I could jump to the end of the line and add a link to sample, and that's theoretically just that easy. Now we actually want to do a little more work here. If we jump over to the help, I can press F5 in the help view to reload the help here as well. And we can see there's a link there that is named sample, but the underline under it is stippled gray. And if I again bring my mouse in and hover it up, it's telling us this topic isn't found because it references a topic that doesn't appear in the help index. And again, if we came here and ran the lint, it's going to tell us two problems. It's going to tell us that sample.txt has a topic inside the file that doesn't appear in the index. And it's also telling us that index.txt is referencing a link to an unknown topic. And you can, of course, double click on these to take you to the appropriate error locations. So what we have to do is tell the HyperHelp that this sample topic appears here in this file. And we can do that with help topic. And the topic was sample. And the caption is, let's say, caption for sample text. Save it. Reload it by pressing F5, and if I ran the lint again, now there are no errors. I could jump back to the index, and if I reload the help file, now the link to sample is properly underlined, and we can see where it links, and I can double click it and jump to sample. So I have automatically linked to this thing. Now, another thing that I can do here And notice that I am in the sample.txt file. I could jump over to here and I could add a link to index.txt. And from inside this file, because it's the file I'm currently viewing in the help view, I can press F5 in here to automatically jump to the help view and reload it. And we'll see that it actually thinks it's a valid link, and it is because the header of every file has an implicit anchor to the name of the help file. And that's more or less the basis of all of the help in HyperHelp. It's all a matter of writing the help, going into the index and adding the indexes for the topics that you need in the appropriate captions. I guess one thing we could point out here is that only one item appears in the table of contents, but the index has all of the topics. That's just also something that automatically works. So we could perhaps also come down here into this thing and add a, well, you know what? For the purposes of demonstration, let's do it this way. If the topic was sample.txt, normally the caption for sample.txt would be sample file, but here we'll put the text sample for the talk in here. And we'll even spell it correctly. Save it. Remember to always reload the index. Coming back over here to the help file, if I open the table of contents, there's now two, and we can see that that one has a different caption than the link has if you try to hover over it. And that's really all there is to say about this particular thing. We've gone on for quite a little while here. So let's go ahead and wrap this up. And that is all we have for this video. I'd like to thank you for watching these particular videos. I hope you're finding all of these packages helpful and useful. I certainly find them useful, particularly Snappy. I've been using it on a daily basis for quite some time now, and I find it hard to do without. So until the next video, this is ODAT Nerd asking you to have a sublime day.